Yatta! Hello everyone! Late stream. Holy crap, how's it going? We're back with some Unicorn Overlord. That took way longer than anticipated and cost a lot more money than anticipated. I'm just gonna do this. I've been watching this scroll for a while now. So, I went through, and somewhat painfully did the tavern for all of the conversations, and my god, it is somewhat of a pain in the ass, because when you're in the rapport menu for the tavern, there's no... I say that. Let's check. Maybe I was just wrong.
Thanks for stopping.
There's no, like... option for I actually have a conversation with this person, right? There's no way to be like you can pull up this screen, but once you're in this screen, this shows literally everyone. And you can tell who you have a conversation with, obviously, by the altered heart, right? The kind of like, I don't know, it feels like it's a hand gripping a heart, which is very strange. But, so, like, this is the only way to tell who has conversations with each other. And as far as I'm aware, there's no way to, right, like, pressing all the buttons, there's no way to, like, adjust and be like, only show me conversation options for the rapport, or sort by people who have conversation options. So... Elaine's easy because Elaine has a conversation with literally everyone except for your generics. But everyone else is just this process of, you know, clicking on them and then going, okay, Lex, okay, Joseph, okay, Chloe, okay, Rosalinde, right? And then selecting everyone. But you get to a point to where, like, unless you want to spend exorbitant amounts of money, you don't want to take everyone to max fucking, rapport. Because if you're only trying to get the conversations, that's all you need. So you end up mixing and matching, right? So you'll be like, okay, Scarlet with Lex and with Joseph, because they both need, you know, max rapport to finish up their conversations. But, you know, or like Lex and Scarlet need max, but Joseph does not need max with Scarlet. So you end up with the situation where you're trying to maximize your gold input, and it's a huge pain in the ass. Took me like three and a half hours. I think closer to three and a half hours, because I worked on it from basically 5:30 to 8:30 tonight. And I worked on it at lunch, too, for a little while. And I also, aside from just doing all the conversations, I also went through and, you know, all of our units now have max rapport with the members of their unit, right? So everyone in a unit now has max rapport, so they get the full rapport bonus. And this probably cost me, because I have 45k right now. I had, like, about 300k or something like that, close to it. I had to stop and re-honor farm for a second. That's why I have 201 honors, because I didn't have the fucking money to finish. I honor farmed and still didn't have the money. So I probably went through about 400, no, more than that, 500k, close to maybe 450, because I ended up selling items to make money as well, when I ran out of easy honor farming options, because I didn't want to teleport around everywhere. I just hit a couple of capitals and honor farm down to where I couldn't get more deliveries, just to try to make money, not to make honors. So yeah, the rapport stuff takes a long time if you are doing it through the tavern. could be easier if you had more options in the tavern to kind of like select, please only show me, again, right? Like this goes back to that kind of like UI element where I think it'd be really nice in this game if you could go to your character list. Where's our first guy? Prosper, right? If you could go to your character list and just press a button somewhere to mark Prosper as a hidden unit. Like, don't show me this unit because the only reason I have him is to station as a guard somewhere, right? This game absolutely would benefit from something like that. It would be way, 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 way improved from the UI elements if you could just hide specific units. So we did all that. Took a very long time, cost a lot of money, and now I actually, like, looking through, there are so many conversations that I doubt we will actually get through all of them tonight. But we are going to try. I will say this menu is perfect. When you actually go into the rapport menu, it only shows here who you have conversations with, but there's no way to translate this screen to the tavern screen when you're trying to build rapport, right? So it's kind of a pain in the ass. I think what we are going to do is we are probably going to work our way from bottom to top, and leave Elaine's conversations for last. So we won't select any of Elaine's conversations. We'll only do everyone else. And in theory, by the time we get up to Scarlet, she'll be done. So Scarlet will, in theory, Scarlet Lex will be the last thing that we do before we do Elaine's conversations. So yeah, that's the generalized plan. Anyway, so let's jump into things. Sonatio and Scarlet. We're gonna have to, again, this is still going, still just going, I'm probably gonna be going for a while. This is another thing that I do not like about the rapport system. I don't like that when you teleport to it, it doesn't actually teleport you to it. It teleports you to the nearest location. But now I have 4 things on the fucking map. I can run around and be like, oh, this is Scarlet and Sonatio. But I don't want to have to do that. I wish when you selected rapport from this screen, and you say, I wish rather than saying travel to the selected location, it was just like, if you have it unlocked, play it. Automatically teleport me to wherever it is on the map and play out the scene. Don't like have me go near it and then walk over to it and then select that I want to play it out, right? You're adding unnecessary steps to the situation. Have it happen in that location, sure, but all the rest of this is just unnecessary additions. We'll let the rapport conversations run in between, so yeah, let's go. Scarlet and Sonatio. Really don't need to be working this hard, Sonatio. I think he does. Seems like every spare moment you're either standing watch or making preparations for our next battle. You barely even find time to sleep. I guess I'm just worried you're not taking care of yourself. I thank you for your concern, Lady Scarlet, but I assure you it is entirely unnecessary. A sinner such as I must strive to atone in every waking moment, and should I fail to do so, I would be renouncing my very right to live. You say that, but the only thing that's going to kill you is the strain you keep putting on yourself. Don't forget that rest is a natural part of life, too. Also, if you run yourself into the ground, you can't help people / atone. So, take care of yourself. Why do you treat me with such kindness? After the horrors I inflicted upon our lands, I deserve nothing but scorn and contempt. Quite enough of your self-loathing, Sonatio. You remember playing here together when we were young. We decided to race from one end of the bridge to the other to see which of us was faster. That was before either of us knew about my sacred duty, of course. First, I had found myself in an early lead, though you soon grew tired and started flying instead. It was a blatant violation of the rules, mind you, but you thankfully agreed to come back to the ground. And before long, you were trailing behind me again, gasping for air. I couldn't help but laugh at the sight, which in turn made you start laughing too. That's fucking rude. In the end, we forgot the race entirely and walked together the rest of the way. I miss him, you know, that innocent boy who always wore a smile no matter what. But things are different now. Day and night, you torment yourself with this talk of atonement and little else. Realize you still remembered that. Time when we were merely friends rather than servants of the orthodoxy bound by obligation. I could never forget it. That's what you've always been to me, not a priest or a sinner, but a friend. My lady, Very well. I shall take better care of myself from here forth. By the Father's grace, I'll not cause you any greater grief than I already have. Thank you, Sonatia. I definitely, like, I understand what they're trying to do with Sonatio, but at the same time, I'm just like, it either, like, obviously he's repentant. So just chill. See, right? Like, now we're in this area, and it's like, which is the thing? Scarlet and Sonatia, okay. Tier 3. Oh, Scarlet can have Tier 3 conversations with someone else, but... Actually, I don't know that. They may say this is a dream. Something funny, my lady. No, just happy to have you back at my side, Sonatia. Quite a difference from the way you used to walk behind me when you first joined our army. Yes, I suppose it is. Lex often claimed I looked like a poor newborn duckling blindly following its mother. Well, that's a rude way to put it. While I can't say I enjoyed being likened to a juvenile fowl, I'm rather pleased to note that his acerbic wit can no longer harm me. Is that what this is all about? You're only here next to me because you didn't want Lex teasing you? No, Then what's the reason? My lady, you would consider us friends, would you not? As such, I'd only hope to behave in a manner that would bring you joy rather than solitude. Wait a moment, I see what you're doing here. Please, go on. You simply mean to mock me, just as Lex did. Perhaps I should go on ahead if that's what you want. Sorry, Sonatio, I didn't mean it. And I won't do it again. I promise. Simply couldn't help but partake in a jest of my own. Okay. What? I thought you were really upset with me. And all went precisely to plan. Good to see you smile again, Sonatia. I merely pray I can one day be the very friend you remember. Bodis. I'm shaking your butt. See? She gets to have a little tier 3 conversation. This is bullshit. Rainies. Oh. This is gonna be annoying to me. See, I do not like this part of the... I don't want to have to hunt and peck. I want to be able to go directly to the conversation that I'm wanting to see. I heard His Holiness had long since risen to the heavens, and Father Sonatia was simply deceiving us. Yes, and while the Orthodoxy claimed to be neutral in the war, the pitiful man was at Zenoira's every beck and call. I think he planned to install himself as the next Pontifex. Father Sonatia would do no such thing. Speaks true. Such was never my intent. Yet, given the breadth of sins I've committed, I'll not blame you for believing otherwise. Hey, how's it going, Tiff? Thank you very much for the bits. I've been petting this cat for a little while, but I'll keep petting him. Father, nevertheless, I live on in search of atonement, day after agonizing day. And in the name of Lady Scarlet's sacred charge, a duty we shall accomplish, no matter the cost. All the same, I shall deservedly bear any insult should it grant your enduring anger a worthy focus. If it could bring His Holiness back to us, I'd have no end to my words for you. Let us not waste our time with this traitor any longer. Wow. Jeez. If memory serves correct, you must be Lady Scarlet's former lady-in-waiting, yes? I am. And some time indeed, Father. You needn't defend me as though I'm still your pastor. You too are a victim of my inaction. After all, I've word you were severely wounded in the resistance effort our church did nothing to support. Hence, should you two wish to criticize me, I would have no cause to dissent. Oh, dear sweet boy. Ask me to speak ill of you, just as they did. I could never be so heartless. Lady Rhaenys, I've heard much of your misdeeds, the regret you bear for what you've done. Yet at the heart of your every action was a deep and immutable love for the orthodoxy and her adherents. And now you seek to not flee from the sins of your past, but confront them directly. I could never bring myself to condemn such strength of will. Forgive me. I didn't intend to dishonor you so. I hate his combination of self-loathing and apologetic nature. Pay me no mind, Father. All I hope is that you find peace within yourself. Certain I deserve such kindness, but thank you for it all the same. Bodies. Okay, next one up. Randomly Melisandre? You need a brushing. You need a brushing, sir. Will you let me brush you? You're not let me brush you. Problem. Yeah, I need both hands for this. Un momento. Cat brush time. Why, that sweet boy. Little brushy. Sure. Like the ultimate cat pet. Okay. Butt and tail. All the hair is... Sure. Boy. Oh, why don't you brush this?
Your job, your papa.
This is bullshit.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'll keep talking now.
Why?
Um,
That's cool. Why do I have the unpleasant activities?
trash.
Take all three. Dumpster. In the dumpster, Otis.
My water over there. I lost.
Thirsty. She thirsty. Aha! 'Tis here I shall take my leave, O Savior. But of course, you have my thanks, Senatio. Prepare to watch another second of this. Oh, assassinate him! Might I help you with something, Lady Melisandre? You can, actually. I noticed you've been spending a lot of time with Elaine lately. But if you're going to follow him around, at least have the decency to not look so miserable while you do it. You think my countenance is miserable, my lady? It's not your face that's the problem, it's your attitude. Ah. People can only handle this talk of absolution and duty for so long. Keep it up and you'll find yourself all alone without a single friend in the world. If such is my fate, then so be it. None shall ever sway me from my sacred path again, even if I have to walk that path alone. Just as unsociable as I thought. Because that's the important thing here. Though maybe that would change if you fell in love. What the fuck? Pardon? Fine then. I'll instruct you in the time-tested courtship rituals of House May, if I must. I Never asked for your tutelage, nor is a sinner such as I deserving of the charity. It's not about deserving it. The heart wants what the heart wants. And I'm sure no one would fault you for finding a soulmate to share your burdens with. Christ. Oh, God. Tell me, what is the reason for this sudden concern? Isn't it obvious? If you turn your gaze to someone else, I'd have Elaine all to myself again. You don't have Elaine all to yourself. I suspected as much. You're nothing if not stubborn, my lady. Say what you will. Now, as for the courtship ritual... Yes, about that, I fear I will have to decline the offer. Hey, get back here! I'll do no such thing. But before I go, I have to wonder. Have any of these techniques proven effective with our savior? Well, Elaine is rather impervious to my advances, but... At least let me finish my sentence before you go running off. I like that Sonatio kind of put her in her place on that one, honestly. Like, not a big fan of Sonatio, but that I can get behind. Sonatio Oakless. Ah, clicked the wrong thing. Huh. I've heard tell of your deeds, Father Sonatio, and while I'll never be able to able to condone such actions, I tried to automatically correct the mistake. While I'll never be able to condone such actions, I can at least understand why you chose to take them. Now that you joined our ranks, you have a fine opportunity to distance yourself from your work with the orthodoxy. Simply rest a moment rather than prattle on about duty and sacrifice. Do no such thing, Oakless. I only walk amongst you to aid Lady Scarlet in fulfilling her sacred charge, though I'm aware you have been all too keen to abandon your obligations to the Church. How dare you imply such treachery? I would never. Oh? Then allow me to share with you a few missives penned by your own hand. I hereby decline my transfer to Espoir Church, that I might remain here at Rondemort. After the ceremony at Isle Church, I plan to forgo the banquet and return to Rondemort straight away. I've plenty more if you wish to hear them. I one attempt at offering sympathy, and this is what I get. As you know, your task lay not merely in gathering divine shards. Nay, you were meant to be deepening the bonds between the Church and its adherents throughout every land of Fevrith. Yet you ignored your directives in favor of a single humble priestess. Would you perhaps like to make a confession, Oakless? Watch your tongue, Father. Sharon has nothing to do with this. I think Sharon has everything to do with this. And on the matter of duty, I believe I'm owed an explanation. Why was it you wanted us to gather divine shards in the first place? I've still yet to hear one good reason we were sent out scouring Fevrith for them. Well, there was one, I assure you, and there still is, for that matter. To ensure they never fall into Zenoira's evil hands again. Oh? Where did your air of superiority go, Father? Have I touched a nerve? Let's find out, shall we? Tell me more about the divine shards. Stop this at once, Oakless. Furthermore, you've no right to berate me in such a manner. Not until you repent for your abhorrent behavior at Rondemort. Abhorrent? That's stretching it a bit more. I asked you first, divine blasphemer. Take that back this instant. Wow. They just kill themselves. I'm down 2 units. They kill each other. I'm down 2 units. Okie dokie. Alright. Do I want to leave? I don't think I want to leave Elaine's stuff all to the last. We'll go through. That way everyone is complete when we're done. And when we get up to the top, Elaine will be complete as well. Alright, Elaine and Sonatio. Looks like it's over here, maybe? I know you're watching me, Sonatio, as you have been for at least the past few days now. I hadn't expected you would notice. It was difficult not to, considering you've even observed me partaking in the occasional hot springs. Is there something you need from me? Not as such, no. Yet our very future shall be cast to the wind should anything happen to the savior of this world. Hence, 'tis necessary that I keep a careful eye on you when Lady Scarlet is unable to do so herself. I'll not be negligent in this duty. For if I were, I would betray the faith Nigel placed in me when he elected to remain here in Albion. Much rather have Nigel. Ah, you mean to say you lament failing to tell him the truth about the Pontifex? Under different circumstances, it seems likely the two of you could have been fine friends indeed. Such a future may have been possible had I not erred in my ways. But I'll not stray from the Father's path again, both for my own sake and for Nigel's. 'Tis the least I can do in return for the boundless compassion which Lady Scarlet has graced me with. A fair assessment, I suppose. My assurance of your safety is but one further step on the path to atonement. All the same, it's somewhat unsettling to know that assurance extends into the serenity of the hot springs as well. But perhaps you'll be willing to join me instead. Sinners such as... God. Should I, sharing a moment of leisure with the savior of our lands, should hardly think it appropriate. Don't mind myself. We could even invite Lex if you wish for further company. This is divine duty, my savior, not some jaunt undertaken for my own amusement. And I'm certain you can still fulfill that duty even if you have a bit of fun in the meantime. Well, I'll not dispute your appeals any longer. Yay! Alright. Elaine or, Sanatio? No, not complete. Right, Elaine has a tier 3 with him. Okay. Over here. Elaine and Sanatio. Oh, is this the hot springs? Do we actually invite Lex? Nice. I've never seen someone slip and fall all the way in before. Enough of these antics, Lex, I beg you. Sorry, no can do. Just wait till Scarlet hears about this. Wow. I fear I'll never hear the end of this for as long as I live. A bug flew in my mouth. I hate it. But I didn't eat it. Are you alright, Sanadium? You took quite a fall there. I'm glad you appear to be mostly unharmed, though. Only thanks to my wings cushioning the landing. I didn't realize how terribly slick the ground would be when wet, yet I promise you it shall never happen again. In fact, I shall abstain from joining you here from this moment forth, such as the appropriate punishment for failing to keep proper watch over you. Ah yes, that's how this all began in the first place. Had you forgotten, my savior? I suppose I had, at that. The only matter I could focus on was how much you were enjoying yourself. You seemed to be having a great time today, despite the abject chaos in which it ended. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't. While much unlike that of prayer, the purifying aura of these hot springs is a comfort in itself. Yet again, comfort is not the reason I'm here. You speak of your duty, worry not. All that matters is you took pleasure in the pursuit. For my part, I wish to return with you again soon. Flatter me, Prince. Should that be your wish, I'll not refuse. On our next visit, I promise I shall see to your safety and endeavor to ease my mind all the while. Okay. Mixed bag on Sanadios. I'm really not a fan of the whole, like, sinner self-loathing thing, but he has some good moments, especially when he, like, stands up to specific people. Bodokia has very few. We'll work from bottom to top. Ugh. Bodokia and Bryce. The Rock Rat and the Angel Knight. A mere thief, training as though he were a soldier and true. Ridiculous. Wow, that is some shade coming from... unexpected shade coming from Bodokia. Like, Bodokia came... well, no, sorry, I'm thinking of Nigel. I imprinted Nigel's personality on Bodokia. Bodokia... yeah, I could see him being haughty like that. Got that right, but I'm part of the Liberation, same as you. Have to do whatever it takes to prove I'm worthy of keeping around. What admirable mentality. Seem I'll have to revise my assessment of you. No need, you were right, you know. Now just do me a favor and leave me to it, yeah? Apologies, but I'll not acquiesce so easily. Perhaps I could teach you an old family technique to offset my earlier incivility. Now you're talking my language. Heed well then, as I'm certain you know angels such as I are capable of striking at our foes from any and all directions. This would actually be really cool if every character could learn like a skill, not learn a skill from every other character that they have a conversation with, but have another character that they can learn a skill from, right? If you get them to a high enough rapport, that would actually be really cool. So that you get this kind of like little cross-class scenario where like Bryce gets Fidokia's like magic shield or something like that, or Lex learns the throw from Chloe or some shit like that. Like, that would be really, really cool. That would, like, take the rapport stuff to the next level for me. Combining your little story bits with in-game bonuses or mechanical features is really, really cool. They have the, rapport passive effect, which is nice, but it's so invisible the majority of the time. It's just passive stats behind the screen, right? Giving actual skills, or if not skills, like maybe some people get skills, maybe some people get items, right? Like unique items from conversations. As such, the only reward you'll earn from aiming your shield straight ahead is a divine sword in your unprotected back. No. To properly combat an angel, you need both fleetness of foot and extreme adaptability. Now bear witness to the radiant light which shelters all. Not seriously what it's called, is it? Holy. I mean, look flashy. Well, with such a technique amidst your arsenal, none shall ever harm you or your allies again. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I was about to pass out just watching you. But a moment's use? Yet true mastery can only come after half an hour of uninterrupted practice. Christ. LOL. Yeah, I gotta ask how those itty-bitty wings keep that big man and all his armor aloft. Perhaps I've grown weak behind the invulnerable walls of Paeston. Not quite invulnerable. Maybe you're better off just letting people fend for themselves then. You can't really attack while you're fluttering around them. I'll show you. He just keeps doing it. Christ. That's a fun one. Scarlet and Fidokia. Wrong thing. Do you hear that, Lord Fidokia? The abbey there must be holding services. I'd recognize those hymns anywhere. As would I, yes. During my rule of Paeston, my citizens would often flock to church in order to raise their voices in dutiful song. I hope you're not talking about the horrendous citizens that sacrificed your child. Yet the guiltless echoes of their chants felt more akin to a curse in my ears. Despite the atrocities they inflicted upon my family, they sought one of their own amidst the Father's embrace. Still, I knew salvation was far beyond them, no matter how fervently they reached towards the heavens. Just as it was for me. Thought alone mocked me day in and day out. Now, to hear those hymns once more, freed as I am from my mournful past, feels as though fate itself mocks me as well. Come then, let's head back to camp. Lord Fidokia? I refuse to avert my gaze any longer. For years I chained myself to a city which had wronged me, to a tragedy, the pain of which I struggled to overcome, until you and the prince arrived to open my eyes to the truth. Yet, 'tis only now I realize, casting aside my faith shall never ever deny me the progress I so desperately seek. Thus, I pray. Pray that none shall ever have to suffer the wretched sorrow I have. And let me join you. I have some words I'd like to offer to the Father myself, both for you and for your son. You have my thanks, Lady Scarlet. That was a nice tone. I don't know that I like... I wish I had more slots. I don't know that I like Bodokia as a character, and I hate that I got him so late because it makes me unsure of how to fit him into something. But I like him from a personality standpoint. Bodokia and Osh seems like such an odd pairing. Bodokia, is it true you can commune with the spirits of the dead? If so, I wish to hear my mother's voice one more time. I fear I've not the slightest idea what you mean. Compose yourself, Osh, and speak plain, that I might better understand your words. I mean, but what he asked was pretty straightforward. Well, it's merely that I heard a fellow archaeologist spreading the most incredible news. He claimed that angels could pull back the veil of death and summon the voices of those beyond. Tell me, where do you hail from? Ornia, sir. Aha. It is a land graced by few of my kind. It hardly comes as a surprise to learn the prevalence of such falsehoods. Then you can't speak with the dead? Would that I were able. I desperately long to hear my son's voice even one more time. Didn't realize you were a father, Bodokia. It is a time long past, sadly. I loved that boy more than life itself, and he was stolen from me upon Zenoira's invasion of Albion. Sorry to hear that. We shall never be at one with the minds of the deceased, Osh, until we ourselves have passed on to the great beyond. Even if it were possible, such desecration would defile our very souls, and disturb the slumber of those we wish to contact all the while. You understand? I do. Then hold fast to the memories of your loved ones. Only they can provide the comfort you seek. You would do well to remember those words, Osh. I will. I hope you can forgive me the senseless outburst. Osh looks so much better in his promoted outfit. Like, he looks like an actual wizard. I too know the pain which comes from yearning for the dead. I pray you'll not succumb to the same mistakes I did in its pursuits. Yeah, because Osh is a fucking wizard. He could go down that dark Zenoiran path. Okay, rapport. Don't know why I took the long way there. Bodokia and Elaine. Are you certain you're well enough to fight, Bodokia? Indeed I am, owing wholly to yourself and Lady Scarlet. At first I failed to understand why you chose to let me live, but I realize now you wish to grant me an opportunity to seize revenge against Zenoira. That isn't why. In truth, it seems almost cruel at times to have kept you alive whilst you suffer such immense pain. But I believe that pain to be a gift, in a way. The ability to redeem others who have known a similar grief under Zenoiran rule. Pray that with your aid, we can ensure none will ever again have to experience what you did. The merciless way to think of the world. Forgive me. Please lift your gaze. After the torment I inflicted upon my citizens out of pure spite, I cannot claim to be any better. Together we shall purge the dark stain of Zenoira from these lands. Of course. And in doing so, see that no further innocents are met with an early demise. Let us take up arms once more, Bodokia, not as enemies as we were before, but as allies. That's a nice little, round off. Nothing too major. Bodokia's alright. Umarus! With Eltalinde. Really? Alright. We'll see how this goes. Umarus, was it? I hear you've quite a breadth of knowledge regarding flowers and their many varieties. Oh, interesting. I do, yes. Before she passed, my mother taught me everything she knew of the blossoms she loved so dearly. Ah, forgive my indelicacy in the matter. Though in truth I bear a similar memory. My nursemaid spent many of her days tending our palace's flower gardens. She was also the one responsible for training me to become Turanos. From dawn until dusk, she would instruct me in all manners of prayers and rituals, never allowing me to leave the castle walls. All the while, Rosalinde could wander the forest as she pleased without so much as a reprimand. In an act of clandestine defiance, I began to cultivate a garden of my own in the basement. Away from the sun, but how? Mushrooms, of course. You know they continue to grow even absent the sun's light. Graced as I was by Ervelda's blessing, the room soon filled with fungi of nigh every shape and color. They grew so tall I feared they may burst through the ceiling. Their roots covered the floor like a soft, earthy carpet, while brilliant spores danced through the air in much the same way fairies do. It brought to mind scenes from the greatest fictions I had ever read. Sounds closer to a horror story to me. Oh no! Fungus can be beautiful. Yet nothing lasts forever. One day my nursemaid discovered the garden I had worked so hard to keep from her. But instead of scolding me, she went about burning the entire grove to ash. Oof! Jesus! Most terrible sight I had ever witnessed. That seems very aggressive for a gardening elf. Can't say I altogether blame her. Why? Why the fungal hate? I was heartbroken and I love how Eltalinde is just breezing past Umarus's statements. I was heartbroken, as you might expect. And while it may have been little more than an attempt to calm my tears, she granted me a small corner of her garden to do with as I pleased. Thus, I decided to grow an herb, a lively mint plant. Mint? But left unchecked? This is just a horror story. It consumes everything in its path, yes. In the end, it choked the very life from my nursemaid's beloved flowers. How could you do such a thing? Nothing quite like a bit of horticulture, That was so weird! What is happening? That was such a, subtly cunning and evil streak from Eltalinde? And why was she telling Umarus about it? It was just so oh, you like flowers? I fucking kill things with my gardening. 'Cause fuck gardeners. What? Sorry you had to hear all that. The truth is, I'm the one who told our nursemaid about the mushrooms. And maybe it's best we keep that from Eltalinde, yes? What? Again! What a terrifying tale. I'm actually with Umarus on this. What the fuck just happened? What just happened and why? So strange. Umarus and Prem, that seems fitting. Yer. Prem and Umarus. This land is incredible, isn't it? So many flowers, so much green. Must be quite a change from the barren red expanses you're used to. It is. I come from a particularly arid region of Drakenhold where plant life doesn't even dare to grow. The only flowers I've ever encountered were the ones I imported for my medicines. Does that mean this is your first time seeing them in bloom? Well, yes. The truth is, I had never actually left Drakenhold before joining the Liberation. But now that I have, it's quite a moving sight. I understand exactly what you mean. Though, to be frank, it only reminds me how foolish I was for turning my beloved garden into a place of war. Sorry? I'd like you to have these, Prem. They're flower seeds from the shores of Albion. As long as you give them the proper care and attention, they'll grow anywhere, and in the most unforgiving of soils. But I don't expect you'll have the chance to plant them until the war is over. Thank you. My entire life I've dreamt of seeing my home covered in fields of beautiful flowers. Invasive species are a problem! Do not take the Albion flower seeds to Drakenhold and destroy the ecosystem there. But it finally is. Maybe then people will stop wanting to harm our lands with all this endless conflict. Good luck. Admirable thought. Whatever I can help to make it a reality, Prim. Like nothing more. That was nice, but yeah, invasive species are a problem. I say invasive species. Like, there are there are plenty of species of plants and animals that have been taken places and not been considered invasive. But you shouldn't take random things to a place without first considering the potential problem that they could cause. Not that one. Snails, right? Snails. Not that one. Well, it wouldn't be... This is too far over. Gotta be elsewhere. Down? That one? Down? No, it'd be that one. What you got to talk about? Oh, right. These aren't associated with the town up here. Scarlet and Umarus. Umarus? What are you doing out in all those thorns? Picking flowers, of course. Come look. Beautiful. I don't think I've seen these anywhere before, not even in Albion. Well, they're off the thorns. Neither have I. Well, I guess maybe they're beneath the thorns. Not sure if I told you this, but I've recently started pressing flowers from every war-torn land we come across. Far too often, I find the most gorgeous blooms crushed to death under the boots of clashing armies, while the flames of war have driven countless others to complete extinction. I've decided to preserve at least one of each type, that I might remember them in years to come. I'm sure the flowers appreciate what you're doing for them. What you're doing for them? What? Collecting their seeds to replant them would be more doing something for them. It's a shame you can't take them back alive. They look incredible all growing side by side in your garden. Well, that's what seeds are for. I was planning to plant a few once we got home, actually. Okay, well, we are taking seeds. Again, invasive species. And can I be the first person to see them once they've finally blossomed? If you even have to ask, Scarlet. Again, that's nice. Umarus is fine. It's the issue of getting characters so late in the game that you're like, what do I do with them? Tier 3! Something I need to tell you, Umarus. Now that you've joined the Liberation, I want you to become the knight you've always dreamt of being. What do you mean by that? When I first saw you again after all those years, armor-clad and blade in hand, I could have sworn you'd finally done what you set out to do. I didn't realize the opposite was true. That you were suffering, more than you had words to describe. I'm sorry, Umar. You're ridiculous. There's nothing to apologize for. Say that, but even now I can tell you're not being completely honest with me. Well, I won't stand for it, not anymore. So please, do it for me. Chase the dream we both know you've always wanted. Scarlet, I don't want to be a knight anymore. I used to think that everything would work itself out once I attained the strength to fight. But the moment I did, I was forced to point my blade at a dear friend, who abandoned the very essence of who I was. It was then I started to question why I even aspired to knighthood in the first place. It wasn't for power, at least not for its own sake. It was to protect the people I loved, something I failed to do twice over, when I let my brother be taken hostage and when I turned against you. Enough, Umarus. That's all in the past now. I'd much rather hear who you're going to be. A brave, kind knight who shields us all. Thank you, Scarlet. I couldn't have asked for a finer friend. That has some resolution, I suppose. I would have gone in a different route, personally. Fran and Umarus. Flying fellows. No matter how long it's been, I'll never get used to that accursed tent. You, Fran. Umarus, you having trouble sleeping as well? No, actually. I was enjoying quite a relaxing rest until I heard someone rustling around outside the camp. I'm sorry for waking you. No problem. If you need some help falling asleep, I may have just the thing. Beautiful incense. Sure you're willing to give it away so easily? Do that and more if it meant helping you get a good night's sleep. On and try it, please. Thank you, Umarus. Morning, friend. How did you sleep? Wonderfully, thanks to you. The incense works great. Maybe too great, actually. Had the entire tent nodding off within minutes, even those who wanted to stay awake. Turns out Miriam wasn't too happy about being denied her reading time. Apologies. I've only added to your worries. Oh, not at all. I appreciate it, Umarus, even if Miriam might not. That's fair. Elaine! Elaine and Umarus. It's Umarus. Perhaps I should... Oh, or perhaps not. Okay, then. Oh, it's... Hello, my prince. Forgive me for asking this, but why have you been avoiding me? Not sure what you mean. The past few days, you've seemed to flee at the mere sight of me, if I had hoped to speak with you. And did you? It must have been a rather important message if you wanted to deliver it yourself. Something like my expulsion from the Liberation. Do you even think such a thing? Scarlet and I chose to accept you into this army of our own volition. I know why you felt your actions necessary, and I would likely have done the same had I been in your position. That, and Scarlet has missed you greatly in the years since she left Albion. She has? Nothing I can do can unmake the wrongs of my past. I'm well aware of that fact. But I also don't want to cause any more trouble for you or Scarlet than I already have. Sorry, Elaine. I'll try to be a little less distant from now on. Please, 'tis not a matter worth apologizing over. Maybe not, but I will atone for my lapse in judgment. All this atonement talk, my goodness. Even if laying down my life is the only way to... Jesus! Remember to be kind to yourself as well, Umarus. I'll try. These angels. All about, like, super hardcore into, like, blaming themselves / atonement. Alright, Tier 3 with Umarus. Is it going to only be a dream? I bet it is. I bet every Tier 3 female conversation with Elaine is just a dream. Hello there, Umarus. My prince. Calm, I beg you. I've only come to give you this. It's a rare Cornean flower as far as I can tell. I thought perhaps it might be a variety you'd never encountered before. This is a Corvinia. It only grows in the deepest forests and wilts just 7 days after it first blooms. As beautiful a life as it is fleeting. You know it then? I do, but I've never actually seen one in person before. Delicate white petals are simply breathtaking. Why have you given this to me? Because you like flowers, of course. That's not what I mean. Ah, you speak of my intention. I suppose I thought it might convince you to drop your guard around me, even if only slightly. Looking at it not make you feel more at ease? The more we speak, the more I realize how ungrateful I've been towards you. You and Scarlet have shown me nothing but compassion while I've continued to let myself be tormented by my past. I even fled at the very sight of you. Very nice, no? Just hope you can forgive me for what I've done. No need for that, Umarus. At least not as long as you don't start avoiding me again. I wouldn't even consider it. Oh, and thank you for the flower, Elaine. I love it. Is it just a dream? Oh, no. It actually let that one go. Okay, cool. So, not all of them are... But you know what that tells me? That makes me feel like Umarus just isn't an option to give the Ring of the Maiden to. That's what that makes me feel like. Jerome, who is such... I don't want to be like this, but Jerome is such a throwaway character. Such a throwaway character. Also, where the fuck? Jerome and Goval. Brandon Celeste. The hell? Wait, what? Oh, who am I doing? Oh, it is Jerome and Gopal that I'm doing. My bad. I was sitting there. I don't know why I was sitting there thinking it was Jerome and Elaine. Brandon's Lust, Jerome and Gopal. Why these two have a conversation? We got a problem, old man. Sir Gopal, I'm afraid I don't know what you mean. Or it wasn't a question. I mean our last battle. You kept standing back instead of rushing the enemy. That horse of yours just for show or what? You should be up the front with me, not sitting around while everyone else does all the work. Perhaps, but I thought it prudent to formulate a strategy first rather than charge in with reckless abandon. Guess you've got a point there.
Nah, you charge that shit.
Charge that shit. That doesn't change the fact that you're too damn careful. You got some speed, too. Real shame we never see you use it. Suppose I do err on the side of caution, yes. As you've stated, that does occasionally cause me to miss opportunities to strike. Now you're getting it. You and me will be clawing at Zenoria's throat before they know what hit him. However, there is no greater danger greater than a careless offensive, such as the heedless aggression you showed in our most recent battle. I guess I might have gotten a little carried away, yeah? And yet, this could be the ideal moment to address both our shortcomings. When the flames of war next lap at our feet, I shall stand beside you leading the charge. Now you're talking. Don't worry, I won't move a muscle till you give the word. That's what partners do, right? That's nice. Still think Jerome is throwaway as hell, but that's nice. The problem of these types of conversations is that they do not develop as the game progresses. Jerome and Adel. Do hope they turned out all right. What'd you bake? I thought I smelled something good. Did you make those pies yourself, Sir Jerome? Did. Planned to bring them over to the camp for the others. Yet now I find myself racked with doubt at the pivotal moment. Use does an army have for mere confections? Plenty, I'd say. You wouldn't know it, but a lot of our friends have quite the sweet tooth. Good news, everyone. Sir Jerome is... Silence, I beg of you. In truth, I have more than one matter which concerns me. Oh? In order to safeguard my people, I pledged my lance and my life to Zenoria's cause. The rest of our army has no qualms in eating food made by one such as I. Go on. Well, display an utter lack of foresight on their part. Who knows what vile trick I could be plotting? Sounds to me like you're overthinking this. Am I now? But if you really that worried about it, you could always just eat one in front of them. That way they'll see you're not up to anything nefarious. How shall I go about it? Imagine your new stoic recruit ambles in offering handmade pies, then continues to devour one himself without another word. And swearing they're not poisoned will only make matters worse. Point there. Really, I think it all comes down to finding the right moment. Afternoon break would be your safest bet, of course. Everyone's always clamoring for a good dessert, and their noses would lead them straight to you. She'll do just that. Truth, it's been quite a while since I've spoken through my concerns like this. Usually I let them consume me whole. I was fortunate indeed to have encountered you when I did. Thank you, Adel. Glad to help. In fact, I'll go let everyone know about those pies right now. They'll be happy to hear you poured your heart into a little gesture for them. I'd rather you didn't, actually. I think the embarrassment would kill me where I stand. Oh, at least there is some addressing of the whole fact of we let anyone into our ranks. Hilda! Hilda? Not Hilda. Lane and Kitra. Gotta be this one off on the side since it's not attached to anyone else. Hilda and Jerome. Way the fuck out here. Jerome, what are you doing out here at this hour? Lady Hilda, I was simply hoping to enjoy the crisp coastal air with my trusted steed here. As was I, actually. I figured my wyvern could use the chance to stretch his wings for a moment. In that case, I shall leave you to it. Farewell, my lady. It seems our friends want to introduce themselves. Aren't the Wyvern Knights extremely anti-cavalry? Often my Wyvern acts this way with other animals, you know? My steed tends to be more of a solitary creature, especially around such a fearsome playfellow. So this isn't a conversation between them. This is a mount moment. Strange, I didn't know any better. I'd guess they've been acquainted for years. Rather perplexing state of affairs, yes. Now then, must really be going. Hold a moment. What is it? Mind if I fed your horse an apple first? Is that all? Of course. I'll have you know that apples are his favorite food. A happy horse. He enjoyed that. By the way, Jerome, is there a reason you've been so on edge all evening? Forgive me, my lady. I confess, I often find myself burdened by a rather irrational fear of wyverns. It's not an irrational fear, it's a very rational fear. They're your natural enemy. What? Them and griffins. I'm constantly worried one will snap my hand off with its powerful jaws. In that case, maybe now is a good time as any to learn there's nothing to be afraid of. And Jerome loses a hand. Here, try giving him a few of these berries. You're certain he won't think to feast on poor helpless Jerome instead? I promise. Farewell then. You enjoy, Sir Wyvern. It would also be nice if they gave their mounts names, honestly. Make the mounts feel more impactful. Appears to be quite pleased with that. Thank you, my lady, for the most awe-inspiring opportunity. If anything, I should be thanking you. This little excursion was just the break my wyvern needed to take his mind off the pressures of war. Glad to have been assistance. Perhaps now I won't cower in fear when I encounter an enemy rider of your ilk. I'll believe that when I see it. Also fair. Also fair, Otis. Mwah! Don't you flee from me. You can't run from my kisses. I fucking 3-star conversation with Jerome. How are you feeling, Jerome? Better now, thank you. The wound has healed, and I shall surely stand ready to partake in our next battle. It is a relief to hear. And if you'll forgive the question, what are those letters you're carrying? Correspondence from my citizens back in Largian. Largian? I don't know that we ever heard it said. They arrived only this morning. You might imagine I've grown rather worried for their well-being since departing the city. Before I found opportunity to ask their fortune myself, they began to send me missives such as these of their own accord. It's clear they bear a great deal of trust in you, more than almost any other lord I've encountered in my travels. I don't know that we've had any other people be responded to like this. I was always so frantic when I lived amongst them, but the more you hasten, the less you truly see of your surroundings. Maybe Morden, right? Like, Morden was very, well thought of. What was my effort truly for? To where was I racing all that time? Such anxieties often plague my mind. But now, to know they think of me frequently enough to send me letters, I must admit I feel at great peace. I'm pleased to know that. No matter what may come in the days ahead, I shall rid our land of Zenoira, my prince, and restore Fevrith to its natural harmony, both for my people and for all who reside on this beloved continent of ours. Indeed we shall. One day you shall return to them, Jerome, and just imagine the joy on their faces when you do. Such thoughts are a small comfort for now. Thank you, my prince. Kinda hate that I like Jerome. Still feel like he's a throwaway. No! Yep. Tier 3. It's Lottie again! You really do worry too much, Lord Jerome. Perhaps so, but I simply had to return after receiving those letters from our people, if even for a moment. That's why you came back? Maybe my fears are all for nothing. Oh, how fares the city, Jerome? Quite well, in large part thanks to you and the Knights of the Sacred Heart, of course. They managed to restore a semblance of normalcy to these lands rather quickly, I'm thankful to say. It's a fine thing to hear. Know... It's a fine thing to hear. Knowing how deeply you care for your citizens? Once Cornea is at last restored, I hope to rule my kingdom in much the same way. Speaking of which, my prince, shouldn't you be off saving the world rather than wasting precious days here in our modest province? It's all right. You've more than enough time to spare. In fact, Prince Elaine was considerate enough to arrange a brief visit after hearing of the missives I've received. But that really is why you're here. I didn't want to bring this up and risk wounding your pride, Lord Jerome. All this time, I thought you'd been relieved of your duties with the liberation. What? I assure you, Jerome here is one of the most tireless hands we could ever ask for. At times, he's even been known to present us with a pie or two as a way of growing closer to his fellow soldiers. Must you mention that, my prince? Sounds just like him, yes. I couldn't tell you how many of his incredible baked goods I've enjoyed myself, or how many he's provided for the city. I even saw him giving some souvenirs from your travels to a couple of local kids just now. Quite enough, thank you. Pleasure we have someone like you amidst our ranks, Jerome. And together we shall defeat Zenoira and safeguard the home you hold so dear. It was my intention when I agreed to join you. Let us see it through to the very end, my prince. Well then, it appears we should be going now. I would much prefer not to halt our army's advance any further than I already have. We teleport, bro. It's all good. A moment, Lord Jerome. I just want to say, I'm glad you decided to come back to us. So is everyone else, too. Even in your absence, we've been getting word of all the great deeds you and the Liberation have accomplished. Keep that fire burning strong. Win the peace this world deserves. Shall strive to do just that. Only pray my presence doesn't hinder their progress. Oh, and one more thing. I'm pregnant. Try not to bother the prince too much, will you? What is... After all, who knows when he might decide to oust you for real? I'm not gonna oust him! Next thing. You're ousted. I suppose you're right. Sorry, I didn't mean to worry you. I'm sure you'll be just fine. You well, my lord? You just planted that seed in his head and now he's fucked. Thank you, Lottie. Now I believe it's time I take my leave. Alright, that was okay. Rome sequences were alright. Rainies! We already did Sonatia? Ah, right. Rainies and Oakleys. I saw you speaking with Sharon earlier, Rainies. Yes, and what of it? She's a truly wonderful person, pure in her intentions and noble in her deeds. Thus, I merely wish to express my gratitude for her always coming to my aid. You're correct. Sharon is akin to a mighty goddess among simple humans. Oakleys is so fucking jealous and possessive of Sharon. Yet, did you truly need to share tea with her? Indeed, I did. I could think of no better way to show my appreciation for everything she does. You should have seen the way her face lit up as I presented her with an ornate arrangement of her favorite cookies. She nibbled at them in the most endearing fashion, you know. Dainty as a gentle forest creature. Oakleys is gonna kill you in this field. You'll not steal her from me, foul temptress. Though it has been some time since I've enjoyed such a respite with Sharon myself. And I believe you'll be pleased to know that you were one of the few things she could bring herself to discuss. Your courage, your beauty, your kindness clearly values your friendship greatly, Oakleys. And while our conversation did wander at times, she only wore the most brilliant smile when speaking of you. Did she now? I mean, yes, of course she did. There truly can be none more charming than her. Very well. You may speak with Sharon however you wish, but don't even think about turning her against me. She's obsessed. A powerful bond they share. Are you sure? Are you sure you would describe that as a powerful bond? Because it really seems like a mite of obsession. Scarlet! And... ugh, there's a lot over here. I'm stuck! Scarlet and Rhaenys. Tending your feathers, Rhaenys. Ah, Lady Scarlet. Indeed, I fear they've grown rather dry with what little time I've had to groom myself of late. I can't imagine the Dragonhold air is helping either. By the way, is that what I think it is? Same rose oil I used when you were a child, yes. Both for myself and for you when I brushed your hair in the mornings. You always made me feel so beautiful, Rhaenys. Did I? Well, I would be more than glad to do so again if you'd like. Now, you mean? I would love that. As you wish. I'm glad to see your hair still shines like the finest silk in the land, my lady. And to think we can once more share the same aroma as we did all those years ago. It is the greatest honor I could ever ask for. The greatest honor? Really? To smell like someone else? Damn. In truth, most angels groom their feathers in private, somewhere none will walk in on them. But as I stood here earlier, I secretly hoped you would do just that, my lady. Really? If you wanted to spend time with me, all you had to do was ask. And ask I shall next time. Yeah, okay. Some of these conversations really do feel kind of like halvesies. Like, maybe it'll continue. Scarlet and Rhaenys. Thank you for asking me here, Rhaenys. I never could get enough of this rose oil, even as a child. I'm glad you're willing to let me brush your hair again. Though today, I was thinking we might make use of these cosmetics as well. They're gorgeous, Rhaenys. When I first served you as your lady-in-waiting, you were too young to have need of them. I often dreamt of sharing makeup with you once you'd become a woman grown. Of course, you're already radiant as it is, yet a few embellishments here and there could only serve to enhance that beauty. You'd really do that for me? How long I've waited for this day! Makeup. Yay. Rose oil? Your grandma's bathroom always smelled like that? I actually like rose oil. It's not something that I hate or anything like that. I think too much of it, like, it's, the phrase too much of a good thing can definitely be applicable there. You know? Like, drenching something in rose oil is absolutely overpowering. Now just stay still a moment. Also, how's it going, lad? That tickles. Worry not, I'm almost done, and there. Gaze into this mirror and tell me what you think. Wow, this is incredible, Rhaenys. I barely even recognize myself. I'm pleased to hear you like it, and to know that I'm the first to see how greatly it magnifies your natural charm. Thank you for this, really. Please, you needn't mention it, though. What would you say to a stroll through town before we remove it? Perhaps we could find some clothes to match your new look. Sounds wonderful. And let's be off at once. I can't wait. It's kind of nice, like, not something that I'm necessarily into, but it's kind of nice to have just like an honest to goodness girls moment. I feel like we do not get very much of that in this. You didn't know what it was until you were in a pharmaceutical combat and pounding lab back in college. You like wintergreen better, though? I like wintergreen. I don't know which I prefer between the two. I don't know. I would need like a side-by-side testing. I should think it rather lucky that Zenora and arrow hit your back, yes? Better that than risking your wings being injured, I expect. It's the opposite, actually. Feathers provide far greater protection than mere skin ever could. Thus, I should have used them to deflect the blow instead of allowing it to strike me unimpeded. Never imagined they would be so strong given how they look. Not to mention, you can fly with them. I must admit, I'm somewhat jealous. Are? My apologies. I suppose that's an impolite thing to say to an angel. Yet I understand the feeling well. I often used to be jealous of humans myself. I once even sought to sever my own wings in an attempt to become one of you. I've driven you to do such a thing. Despite our similarities, there shall always be an inherent separation between my kind and yours. Some amongst us even look down upon humans as little more than vulgar creatures in need of our aid. In the world at large, as well, our two races are never viewed as equals, no matter the situation. Hence, angels such as I find it difficult to truly sympathize with the sorrows of humanity. That distance is surely the reason Lady Scarlet left me here the day she departed for Palavian shores. Oh my god. These people have some bottled up emotions. There were a number of bottles of essential oils there, but those were the only two you remember. That's fair. I'm certain she cares not for what race you are, Rhaenys, only that you're the same woman she remembers from all those years ago. Yet the question still plagues my heart. Is it truly appropriate for me to stand beside her? I believe you already know the answer to that. It's clear in the kindness she's always borne for you, as well as the sheer delight which crossed her face upon your reunion. You're absolutely right, my prince. Okay. What is this last conversation? Elaine and Rhaenys. Are you hurt, Rhaenys? I came right away when I heard what happened. I'm okay, thank you. And more importantly, so is Lady Scarlet. Speaking of whom, we're due to deploy again any minute now, yes? I must return to her at once. Hold a moment. I'll not let you march into battle injured as you are, nor would Scarlet want you to do so. You attempted much the same thing when we first met, as I'm certain you remember. Yet if something were to happen to her in my absence, no harm shall come to her. I promise it on my very life. As for you, every moment of every day is spent thinking of someone other than yourself. You mustn't forget that to turn that kindness inward at times, else you lose sight of what matters most. Another thing is, if you get yourself killed, you can't do the things that you want to do, and you make the people that you care about sad. Right? Like, now stay and see to your recovery however necessary. I shall stand guard over Scarlet for you. I would truly do such a thing. I would. I must ask as well, have you hidden any other injuries from me? Tell me the truth, Rhaenys. Indeed I have. Thought as much. Tell me, how do I become as kind-hearted as you, my prince? Sorry? Whenever I speak with you or with Lady Scarlet, I sense an inexpressible warmth lurking somewhere beneath the surface. Yet every time I attempt to demonstrate that same warmth myself, to help you both as you help me, it seems all I do is cause you pain and distress. I've never once thought that about you, though it is difficult for us when you fail to look after your own well-being. So in my opinion, if you truly wish to show us kindness, you must first learn how to do the same for yourself. Try to love yourself, y'all. Inward kindness. No! Bad J. Bad J. Listen to Elaine. Listen to Elaine. You help me most by helping yourself. Oh, that's true, he does. he absolutely does. Consider what you would say if Scarlet were her. You would ask her to rest, yes? All you need to do is treat your own health and your own happiness just as you would hers. I understand. No, you don't. Forgive me for making you explain it in such detail. If I might add one last thing, Rhaenys. Push beyond your limits for the sake of those you love is another form of kindness as well. One in which you far exceed anyone else I've ever met. Glad you believe so, my prince. He is a horrible barometer. For trusting people. Oh, also, not a dream. I'm gonna assume that means she is not romanceable. Amalia and Leia. Amalia having conversations just feels a little weird. Oh, Amalia, I didn't realize you were out here. Oh, it's you. Gilbert's, my name is Leia. Right, sure. So, you need something? Forgive me the sudden request, but I was wondering if you might honor me with a sparring session. A revenge match, is it? Fine by me. I hoped you would say that. Now let us commence. Held your own pretty well there, but it looks like I win again. Thank you for agreeing to this, Amalia. Shown me just how far I've yet to climb. Hey, I'm always happy to lock swords for a bit. If it makes you feel any better, that was like night and day compared to our fight at the Colosseum. Gotten good at keeping up the pressure and didn't waste even the slightest movement. There was a real flow to it too, almost like a strong, steady river. Not to mention your aim. Every strike was heading straight for the gaps in my armor. The perfect strategy for someone your size to topple a brute like me. Do you truly mean that? To be honest, hearing such words fills me with confidence. Especially after how easily you swatted me away when first we met. In that moment, I swore to rededicate myself to my training. I'd like to spar with you again sometime if you wouldn't mind. Say the word and I'm here. My thanks, Amalia. With that, I'll take my leave. Farewell for now. Damn. Better train harder if I don't want to end up on the end of her sword. It'd be really... What would have been really cool is if she kind of like bent the knee or acted a little like injured after Leia left. Just to show like, oh, she's actually really come a long way. Mechanically, though, that's a horrible matchup for Leia. Orden and Amalia. What? You there, Amalia, was it? Morden, here to pester me for mead money, I assume? Hey now, I enjoy a drink as much as the next man, but that's not what I'm here for. About that sword you've got. Mind if I take a closer look? See, this would be a great opportunity to, like, empower an item or something like that. Not at all. You've got better taste than I realized. A grip on that thing, mind you. I'd rather not get cleaved in two today. Don't worry, the sword's practically part of my body. It's got a real aura to it. Intimidating if I had to pick a word. Makes me really curious is what it's made of. Looks to me like some kind of stone, not iron. I've never felt stone like this. You're onto something there. Thing's been in my family for generations. Don't even think it's from Fevrith. Whatever it's from, they must have had quite some skill to cut and polish stone this hard. Anyway, we done here or what? A few more minutes, please. I'll buy you all the rounds you could ever want once we're done. Sure about that? Drink as much as a small army, you know? We'll see if you have the stomach to back that up. What a stunning engraving. Is it diorite? No idea. Listen, I know you did a favor showing me your sword. I didn't think you'd drain every last cask in the tavern. Hey, you're the one who offered. Now come on, I'm still thirsty. What have I gotten myself into? She did warn you. She did warn you. Amalia and Chloe. Interesting. Easy does it. Amalia, where'd you get all that food? I didn't steal it from our stores, if that's what you're worried about. Went and hunted it myself, actually. Should be enough to get me through the day. The day? Must be half my body weight. Already told you, didn't I? A woman my size eats as much as 5 men. Only natural when you've got a body this big. Anyway, you mind cooking that up for me? Just go ahead and toss it in. Toss it all in one big pot. Don't worry about your fancy knife work or elaborate seasoning. Can't be taken all night with this, you know? Just toss some salt on top once it's finished. You're sure? But it must be tough eating all this in one sitting. Got that right. Rather spend my time swinging my sword than shoving food down my throat. You really love fighting, huh? Yep. Oh, and I hope you don't think I'm just some ravenous glutton. Dignified, too, when the moment calls for it. If I'm through getting this down, I'll gladly eat the dinner you made for the others, too. With a fork and proper manners at that. Good to know. To the tune of Drive My Car by the Beatles, baby. Oh. So long since I've listened to Beatles. Yeah, I'm actually having trouble remembering the tune to that. Well, I know what I get to listen to tomorrow. That's cool. It'll be a Beatles day tomorrow. Why are you hiding over here? Last one is Elaine, which I think is right over here. Yeah, it's right in front of the Coliseum. You got the lyrics wrong, sorry. You read that a long time ago and wrote that from memory? That's fine, I can't remember the lyrics. Be entirely unaware of Zenoiran's dominion when you first arrived here, Amalia. Take that means the flames of this brutal war never reached your home? It's fine, yep. Just a lonely little village out in the middle of the mountains. The kind of place you could spend years looking for and never come close to finding. Why would you live in such a remote region? Couldn't come as a surprise knowing what the old man was trying to do. And if anyone caught on, an heir would be the least of his worries. Bastard. That only raises another question. Why did you leave? Because possessed or not, I wasn't going to let him rule my life, or my body. So I started training, learned all the techniques my proud ancestor was so damn eager to pass down. You mean to say your skill is entirely self-taught? Or is, but you heard the old man. Nothing close to the real thing. Anyway, eventually I figured out he only took control of me when there was someone strong he wanted to fight. Why I stayed put all those years. Didn't want to risk setting him loose on the world. Now, I never have to worry about that again. Suppose not, no. Still, all that time, and I had no idea there was a war going on right outside my doorstep. Of course, the Colosseum's the only thing I was after when I left. Yet whether you intended it or not, you were forced to help us defend its walls. I imagine you rather enjoyed that part, though, given the powerful opponents you were able to face. You did me better than most do, Elaine. As long as there's people to fight, I'm there. Even without the old man pushing me to do it. I'm glad you decided to join us rather than our enemies. Thank you again, Amalia. I could see, right, like, I could see a sequel to this. I could see a sequel to this. We've already obviously talked about that previously, right? The idea of, you know, sequel in a different place other than Fevrith. Cool to kind of like bring over portions of the story, but have it be its own thing. Overarching branching kind of like concept like Ogre Battle does. But it would also be cool to see characters like Amalia who don't have a strong like connection or care show up in that game, because they could legitimately, Amalia, she just said it, she'll go over where the fighting is. So when Elaine wins here, and peace comes to Fevrith, I could totally see Amalia just being like, well, time for me to go, and sail off to another continent and hole herself up in a new place, new coliseum, or join a war because she's like, I'm gonna find somebody to fight. Gotta get stronger, you know, that type of thing. And that would be cool, kind of like little carryover scenarios. Bryce and Nina actually get a full conversation. That's cool. Hey there, Nina. Been doing okay? Captain. Easy there. I'm just a regular soldier, same as you. Not to me, you aren't. Shoot yourself. I'm sure is a funny thing, huh? One day I'm tossing you out of the rats, and the next I'm out of the pack myself. Now here we are, both flying the liberation flag. Honored to stand beside you once more. The others doing all right? More or less, I'm sure. Can't be easy losing everything they thought they lived for. There's not much tougher than a cornered rat. They'll survive. If all this snow didn't break their spirits, nothing will. I suppose you're right. Oops, almost forgot. Brought you something. What is it? Rock Rat Classic, straight from Sven's recipe book. The Rat Witch. Oh, but get your hopes up too high. Nothing special. Some meat and eggs shoved between two halves of bread. Sounds good to me. How have I never heard of this before? I never got the chance to make you one. Go on, eat. It's good, I promise. Hold a moment, you want me to eat it here with my hands? Yes, with your damned hands. I know you're more of a knife and fork girl, but sometimes you just gotta sink your teeth into a good sandwich. Trust me, it won't bite. Right, of course. Here goes nothing, I suppose. We get the anime food porn scenario. Huh? It's incredible! Yep, we do. Oozing yolk, the tender meat, the simple yet slightly sweet bread. Told you, didn't I? It's nothing fancy, but there's no beating that rustic flavor. You know, Sven always was the only one of us who could actually cook. I was real nice about sharing his recipes, though. I'll have to compliment him the next time I see him. Slow down there, kid. You're gonna choke if you keep talking with your mouth full like that. I can't breathe. I got you, Nina. Just one push. Much for elegant. Has to perform the Heimlich maneuver the first time she eats a sandwich. Funny. Oh, she gets a full 3. Holy shit. That doesn't happen very frequently. Quit squirming and come with me, brat. Ah! Unhand her this instant! Thank you for saving me, brave knight. Knight, but I'm not. Nina. Sworn I saw someone snatching that girl. Looks like you went and handled him before I could even lift my spear. I was still but a child. My father took Millie and I out into the woods on a hunting trip. We ended up separated. I definitely thought we were going to get Millie eventually, but we didn't. We ended up separated from him along the way and ran afoul of a bandit who thought to make hostages of us. The blackguard would have succeeded too if not for a valiant knight who rode up to fight him off. Glad he did, you know. Then that I decided I would become a knight myself. Millie and I would often pretend at it, using tree branches for swords and pot lids for shields. Our mother even joined us, playing the part of the damsel in distress. Always there to watch us, tending our endless scrapes whenever we got hurt. Passed not long after, my father remarried. Of course, Millie, always the more adaptable of us, quickly grew close to our new stepmother. Though don't mistake me, a woman is nothing but a kind soul who tries her hardest to please us. No amount of kindness could ever replace our mother. That's why you ran. Found yourself thrown in with the rock rats. More or less, yes. In any case, I think it's quite enough for now. We should return to camp and make ready for our next battle. Suppose we should. Interesting. What is the final one? I think we'll finish out Bryce, and then we'll probably be done for the evening. We've got so many of these to do. This might actually take an entire another session just to get through with the reporters. Ay, ay, ay. Bryce and Nina. Been wondering, Captain, where did you come up with the name Rock Rats? Huh. Makes sense you've never heard. There's an old saying, cling to life with all the tenacity of a wounded rat. It's just like us, right? Almost uncannily so. I've got a story to back it up. A long time ago, there was this family over in Drakenhold. Yeah, I know that place. Mother, a son, and a dad who worked himself to the bone to keep them all fed. A modest life. They were happy. One day, a noble in town got his house picked clean by thieves. Dad of the family was the only suspect. Ended up getting sent to the gallows, least of his hard-earned gold. Wife, racked with grief for her lost love, tried to end it all. Kill herself. Her son, too. Kid made it out. Without a family left to speak of, his only choice was turning to a life of banditry. Each day hurt bad, but he'd do anything it took to survive. He went from town to town. Life with all the tenacity of, well, you know. Never could get over his hatred for nobility, though. Captain. Everywhere he went, it was always the same thing. Strong, stealing from the weak. It was greed, plain and simple. If you didn't want to be taken advantage of, you had to get stronger. I had to. Why I started the Rock Rats. Yeah, to give outcasts like me a place they could call home. As for the name, I already said. Not a storehouse in Fevrith safe from the persistence of a rat. Makes it a fitting moniker for a band of thieves who ply the same trade. Captain, you should know. I already do. Nobility. Daughter of a Cornean lord. But... Sorry, Nina. Known since the day you first asked to enlist. It was obvious, really. Then why did you permit me to join? Thought you hated nobles like me. Not ones who fight for the same reasons I do. Both out here trying to protect those who can't lift a sword for themselves. It's good enough for me. Anyway, I didn't mean to give you my whole life story there. Come on. Last I checked, you're on cooking duty tonight. Yes, Captain. I like Bryce. I do like Bryce. I still don't understand why they felt like they had to fight us. I'm glad it ended up fine, but I don't understand why it wasn't just like, yo, we're not out to get you. It's cool that you're here in this city. That's perfectly fine. We're just passing through. Don't fight us, we won't fight you. Bryce and Bruno. How's the cargo looking there, Bruno? Seems like a lot for just one guy. Here, let me give you a hand. Nah, I'm good. I can carry this stuff in my sleep and still have room left for dreaming. Maybe, but it'll still take you all day if you do it alone. Now let me... I said no. This here's my job, and damn it, I'm gonna do it. Look, you can still do most of it. I'm just helping, okay? Fine. If you're not gonna listen, I'll have to work so fast you can't even lay a finger on them. A race, is it? Not a bad idea. Damn it all. Why is the bastard so set on helping me? Elaine said I'd get a triple serving at dinner for this, and now some rat keeps cutting into my earnings. Just one box left, huh? Hands off, it's mine. Ah, quit your complaining. Why don't we just carry it together? Like hell that's gonna happen. I'm done taking your damn help. Come on, Bruno. What good are friends for if we don't come running for stuff like this? Tired. Believe we managed to move all that before noon. It wasn't really a we operation. You must have carried 3 times as much as I did. What's happened to all our cargo, Bruno? You surely can't be done already, can you? Nice. That's fun. A fun little situation. Again, feels unended. Feels like there could be more there, but you know. That would probably be another thing that I would say. I after having played this game, like it a whole lot, but they could probably have so many characters. They could probably have like 20 less characters and just put more time into those characters. All of the characters having 3 conversations with everyone. The characters having like a bit more depth and participation in the story, like story beats and things like that. Overall, I think that would be a better bet, personally. Like, no offense. I'm sidetracked, I know. I understand. It's actually easier to check via rapport. Right, like, we have 4 knights, we have, you know, 3 different priestesses, we've got 3 different warriors, we've got 3 different like the duelists or whatever, right? Like, do we need all of those different versions? And I would say honestly no, right? Like, Aubin is our only whatever the fuck class he is, Viking, whatever. Rolf's our only archer. Do we need and I hate to say this, but do we need Nina and Kitra? Do we need Miriam and Monica? Do we need Prim, Tatiana, Sharon? Do we need Leia, Melisandre, and fucking Aramis? Do we need Linolagos, Ridiel, and Galdemir? Right? Like, I can understand scenarios where you're like, okay, well, we want to have more healers because healers are important. We want to have male and female versions, right? So like Berenice, Jeremy, Magellan are all 3 technically the same class. Get rid of one of the, and I hate to say it because it's my namesake, but it's Jeremy. Jeremy has no actual part in the story. He's just a random guy in one of the fucking cities. Make it just Berenice and Magellan. You have a male fighter, you have female fighter. Jeremy sucks. Actually really like Jeremy a lot, but is he necessary? No, absolutely not, right? Leia, Aramis, Melisandre. Why do we have 2 female, 1 male? Just have Leia and Aramis. Melisandre doesn't need to be there, right? Oakley's Umaris, right? I don't think anything that happens with Umaris couldn't also just happen with Rhaenys, right? Because it almost feels weird. Like, you go back to Albion with Scarlet, and it's she knows Umaris, or we're childhood friends, but I'm also was childhood friends with Sanatio. But also childhood friend / lady-in-waiting with Rhaenys. I also knew this person. Like, it makes sense to know a lot of people, but do all of these things have to file in together, right? Like, Rhaenys could be in the entirety of Umaris' story. She could show up, right? Be leading a resistance, right? Or I say air quotes. Not air quotes at all. She could be part of a resistance movement. We show up, we see her. The next thing that happens, though, is she doesn't immediately join us. Instead, right, like, transplant that little situation with Umaris over to the Abbey with Rhaenys, and instead, Rhaenys has a younger brother, and has to betray us in that moment because that younger brother gets kidnapped. Play out, Umarus doesn't exist, and the story loses nothing. And in fact, I think actually is stronger because Rhaenys is a more developed character with more pieces to her, right? Why do we need Magellan, Jeremy? Renault is one of Clive, Adel, Renault, Jerome. We have 4 knights there. Liza, Gloucester, only ones of their units. Hilda, only ones of their units. Linolagos, there is Linolagos, Ridiel, Galdemir. Why do we need that many elves of the same class type? Again, if you want a male and female version, have a male and female version. It's perfectly fine, right? Get rid of Galdemir or get rid of Ridiel, and the game does not suffer at all. Celeste, completely throw away, right? Ithilien and Rylanor, obviously that is a male and female pairing, but Rylanor, pretty throwaway, right? Even if I don't like them mechanically, Mirard, Unifi, Ramona, Dinah, Bertrand, Goval, all unique. And I like Bryce, but I would still say, right, like Hodrick is already a specific character. Bryce could be an enemy in the game, right? And just as easily the story would be perfectly acceptable by not having him be a player character or a player unit, but instead be a story beat for Nina. Like the stories that the little rapport conversations that we had could have happened just as a natural part of the game as we with Nina with us met back up with Bryce in these different instances. And ultimately what happens is exactly what happens, right? We put the rock rats, we beat the rock rats, and we put the rock rats in charge of that city, but Bryce stays with them as a trusted individual to help keep order in the area, right? And is more just a focal point of Nina's story. So yeah, it would be difficult for me to go through. 20 might be too many. They're quick way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 19, 20, 22, 4, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 9, 50, 1, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So 60 characters. Yeah, culling 20 would be difficult just offhand. But I could cull 5 to 10 very easily, right? Jerome gone, Umarus gone, Bryce gone, Galdemir gone. I'm just doing doubles here. Celeste gone, Jeremy gone, Tatiana gone. Oh, I like Monica and Miriam both, so I wouldn't want to get rid of them. But you could easily get rid of one of them. I'd actually say Adel gone of those. I keep. If we're just keeping one, keep Monica. You can keep Renault. We already got rid of Jeremy. Colm gone. Melisande gone. We'll keep 2 there. Miriam gone. Kitra Miriam gone, so that's up to 11. Adel gone. So that starts to get more difficult after that point. But that's 12 characters basically right off the bat that you could roll into other characters. Or like the scenario, like you could keep Miriam, Kitra. Get rid of Nina. Nina has no story beats, no connection other than Bryce. right? So if you're getting rid of Bryce, you can get rid of Nina, you can spend more time on other characters. Kitra has almost nothing happen in the game other than the Blue Rose Knight stuff. You could have more of that stuff happen, right? And that would be cool. Monica could, if you want to keep Miriam, because you're doing the Miriam Blue Rose side of things, you could just combine the characters and have Miriam / Monica, whichever name you kept, be a part of the Blue Rose Knights, but also be the, former fucking betrothed of Clive, if you want to keep that side of the story. There's a lot of ways you could, like, roll certain of these characters together and very easily get rid of 10 of them, maybe not 20. That 20 would be a significantly more difficult. You'd start to have to, like, cut male-female duplicates, like no Jeremy or Magellan, just Berenice, right? But at the same time, I think if you did that, you really make each character feel more valuable in and of themselves, right? Like, Clive being the only unique knight to the story would be interesting. But not necessary, obviously. Anyways, I'm just, like, I love the game. I'm very happy with it. I'm just kind of, like, postulating what I think would make the game a better overall game. Bryce and Elaine will be the last one that we do. Father Almighty. Bryce, is something the matter? Speak of the devil. I got a question I want to ask you. Feels like it's barely been days since I joined the Liberation, but the second people find out I'm keeping an eye on you, they come running over to me. What purpose exactly? To tell me how good a leader you are, or how thoughtful you are, or a million different things. All good, of course. The whole damn army won't shut up about it. Trust you, kid. More than most people trust their own reflections. It's a nice thing to hear, despite the inconvenience it seems to be causing you. The way they talk, I figured it was just a matter of time till you got all smug over it. Never let it go to your head. Guess I'm wondering is how? How do you stay so damn grounded when everyone else keeps trying to lift you up? There's only one reason I'm even here. Restore my home to its rightful rulers. As much as I might want it, no amount of praise will ever bring my mother back. Yet I can reclaim her nation, our nation. And I seek to do the same not only for Cornea, but for all of Fevrith's peoples. Any trust I've gained, any soldier I recruit, is ultimately for that purpose and that alone. That's actually not a very good reasoning, truth be told. To stay grounded? That's not a good reasoning to stay grounded. That's a good reason to stay focused. To be good, but grounded? Question mark? All these years I've been looking for a place me and my men can call home. Here you are, winning that home for the whole damn continent. It's funny. Came into this trying to see if you even deserve to be king. Now I'm actually looking forward to the day you finally are. Perhaps you'd consider simply trusting me rather than always holding that spear at my back. I'll do a bit of both if you don't mind. Oh, and keep it up, Commander. See, again, I like Bryce, but you could absolutely take the moments that Bryce has expressed in this game, still have them be expressed, and not have to be a character. Or be expressed through other characters, like folding character motivations into other characters. Okay, we got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters in almost 2 hours. I spent a lot of time talking about other shit, though. I do not think if we kick things up tomorrow, I do not think a concerted effort will take us... I say take us too long. It'll probably take us an entire stream to get through the rest of these rapport conversations, especially if I get sidetracked and start talking about other shit. But the important thing to note is that the further we go through these, the less conversations that will await us at... Look, Celeste only even has 3 fucking conversations. Christ. Some people really get the shaft. I think Celeste is the worst, though, at 3. But Dokia has 4. Jerome has 4. Rainice has 4. Amalia has 4. Bryce has 4. Yeah. Those are the other low people on the totem pole. And Celeste has 3. It's like, she is so fucking throwaway. Which is sad. Anyways, we will continue this next stream. I think we'll probably take the majority of the stream to get through that. So, thinking on timelines, that means Tuesday stream will be mostly doing rapport. If it goes well, if we're able to get through things quickly, then maybe we'll be able to start up this battle. And again, I'm still deeply suspicious that this isn't actually the final battle, that there's going to be something after it. If only because, or maybe it will be the final battle, but maybe it'll be like there's something to do on the world map to end the game, which will let you turn in the final quest, etc., etc. The final quest, the map completion quest. Yeah, that's literally all we have. But it does say current objective is to complete Unicorn Overlord. But we get stuff, right? We get the Holy Unicorn Shield, we get Fevrite, we get, it feels weird. Anyways, postulating. That's going to be the end of this session. We'll be back tomorrow with more Unicorn Overlord. And that's that. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. We will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.